This is iRacing.
Most racetracks do not thrive well in the midst of big cities, but even after more than 6 decades, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez has proved popular and successful. And for the first time, our drivers will tackle it as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Craig, I always love when a series comes to a track for the first time because it's a journey into the unknown.
It's not only just a journey into the unknown, a journey into the unknown for this car as well. This was a track not even used back when F1 was around in the 70s. Well, this car was around in the 70s. So we don't even know how this car would probably react to this. So it's going to be a great dive into the unknown.
It's going to be a learning day for a lot of drivers, but with this circuit also being new to iRacing as well, why don't we take a moment and check out our track guide. Welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Located in the Magdalena Machuca sports city in the southeastern region of Mexico City, this track really is an urban affair. Situated among one of the largest cities in the world, it tends to draw in unbelievably large crowds of race fans. The full 2.67 mile or 4.3 kilometer Grand Prix course can be split up in numerous ways, making for 7 fully distinct raceable layouts. It includes everything from an oval to an EV course, making it malleable to a wide variety of types of cars. In fact, the track has hosted not only top-end open-wheelers, but NASCAR, sports cars, and motorcycle racing over its history. That history began back in 1959 when construction was completed, but has since gone through multiple changes to reach its current look. One of the defining features that hasn't changed much over the years is the immensely long front stretch. However, a newer addition which first cropped up in the early 2000s is the Foro Sol Stadium section. This not only offers a safer option for higher-powered cars to bypass half of the Peraltada, it creates a unique atmosphere in which tens of thousands of fans can cheer on their favorite drivers with spectacular views. But our history buffs need not fear. The 180-degree Peraltada can still be raced in a few of the layouts on iRacing, recapturing its fearsome speeds and challenge. All in all, this place has a little bit of something for everyone. No wonder the Mexican fans come out in droves when motorsports come into town. Well, this certainly is a unique track. Why don't we take a little bit of a look at it with our map here, Craig?
Yes, we just come down to Mexico. The first time iRacing has a track in Mexico. And like I said, this is the historic layout, the layout they used between 86 and 92. You see there, they're not using the Foro Sol, so they're not using the stadium section. So it's going to provide a lot of high-speed opportunities because that tips in a very sharp right to a quick left-right combination before they go on to the oval. So you're going to get a little bit of banking on what they call the Peraltada, which is my Mexican very bad, but that final corner there, so very interesting. But the rest of the track is what you would see in that normal F1. So you've got that very quick section to start the track, very high speed into what they call the Ese del Lago and Horquilla, which of course is the S's by the lake and the fork at 4, 5, and 6. That's going to be a very good overtaking spot, even though it's almost like a double left-hander there. But you look at that from the S's at the fork, you look at the S's to start the racetrack, There's a lot of straights here today. It plays into the hands of this car. It's going to be a draft track today. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that main straight is going to see a lot of action coming down into the opening set of corners there. It's going to create a lot of action, a lot of opportunities, but we'll have to watch and see who manages it well, because could see a breakaway with that slipstream, but we don't know yet. In the meantime, let's take a look at the championship, and Pauli Partanen currently up at the top of those points, and by a decent margin at this stage. Togo Asada, 89 points to make up. That's less than a win, so he could still jump into it, but we're getting late in the season. Jack David Spickett not too far behind, but then look at the jump down to Dylan Freckleton. That is definitely going to be a bit of a hard ask for that fourth place driver to get into the top three. It seems like it is mostly a battle between Pauli, Togo, and Jack for the top spots. But behind Dylan, it remains incredibly close. So you have less than 100 points all the way down to 8th place with Timothy Reed. And then you've got Tapia, Vico, and Zamaloa falling in a little bit farther behind. But this is just the F1 standings. We also have an F2 championship. And how is that, Craig?
It's one-sided. Even with Josephine Becker not here last week at Jerez, and now also just over the 3K, but still there as they start the season there as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see just what's happening behind her, because that is such a big gap. I don't really see it changing, especially with her into the top split today. So Kravoviak and Tuba going to be running out. Kurt Clapper as well, very close there for the rest of the podiums. Area as well, not turned up at the start of the season, but still enough to get into 5th place. And you also look at David Ricciardi as well, just there. Barry West, who usually climbs into the top split, not here today. So very close for the rest of the positions that you expect in the F2s. But there's only one name, and it's Josephine Becker. And Joe, we said it before, there's never been a female winner of any formula in the 79s or the 49s. That could change this season.
She's certainly been on track to try and upset that stat. Looking forward to seeing whether or not she can hold on for the final rounds, as she's been extremely strong. Now, we also have a teams championship that they run in this series. That one's interesting because the top spot, TVR Racing, you'll notice there is only one driver, Dylan Freckleton, and he's leading by 69 points. And this doesn't work the same way that they do have for the drivers' standings. It's fewer points handed out for this. So 69-point lead is actually massive between P1 and P2. So he's well on his way for just a fantastic season. Barry West and Miguel Moreland, not two names that you would have expected, also challenging well in this team's championship, but looking at a handy 2nd place as Lotus sits in 3rd. From there, they're very tightly followed by Minardi with Herner. Both Herners, I should clarify, Keith and Todd in that team, giving hot pursuit to see if they can jump them later on. Now, in case we have any viewers that are new to this series, Craig, why don't you run us down race details?
Yeah, well, we're here for round 9 of 12, so we're in moving day, as they'd say in golf, and it's always different lap formats here, and today it's going to be 26 laps around this track, and it's an open setup. It's not a fix, so you can make a setup or use the setups that the community provides. I know Pauli Partanen on the socials, everywhere you look, really pushing, makes a few sets for the drivers, so give that a go. But if you crash, you're done for the day. There is no spare cars, so you have to be a little bit careful in what you do. A drive-through at 17 incident points, that disqualification at 25. I feel we'll be seeing... Well, we may be seeing that 17, but with a lot of straights here, not a lot of twisty sections, not a lot of places to really rack up those incidents today, Joe.
They do have the paved runoff in a couple spots, and I think that is going to be a little bit dangerous at times, but we'll see. Again, it is off into the unknown. Don't know who is going to wind up having troubles out here. Jacob Reed, our provisional pole sitter, and we have most of the drivers. In fact, yeah, everybody is set at least one time. Let me check real quick to see if we actually have anybody who still needs to set their 2nd lap, and it looks like Christoph in the 14 does. Here he sits in 6th position, and we have seen in cases in the past that these tires need a little bit of warming up, so I'm curious if Christoph is going to make yet another jump here in this 2nd lap, although he goes very wide there coming into the fork.
He actually made an off-track going into the S's there, the Lake S's. So this is not going to count, but it gives them a good chance to just look at what they have to do, because here's the S's, and this is going to feel really nice on a ground effect downforce car. I'll get the words out in a moment as he just goes. You see a little bit of the rear just kicking out, but able to just keep it down, and now down to the straight here. You usually go right modern day, now you go here. You get a little bit there onto the speed, have to tap the brake because it's not a lot of banking, so you want to just keep it and hug in. So you do want to do a quick tap of the brake from the start-finish line, when the finish line is right at the end there. It does count. I thought there was an off-track, was earlier. He goes across, just getting that P3. Real good time, but there's a good indication of how the end of the lap looks, Joe, and it's going to be very different to what you're used to seeing on the TV.
And Christoph Olenek up to third with that second lap is a significant change. I don't think we're used to seeing him that high up in the qualifying order. Should be a fun one today, as we do have Gernot Friesche here. He's usually a fast driver. He's all the way down in 11th. We'll go over that complete order here in just a moment, but it is looking like things are going to be a little bit shaken up by this new track as drivers get used to what is a bit of a different layout. There you see into that first corner. That is where we're expecting most of the action to be. Hopefully, we don't have some controversy like we did in real life in recent years with cars running across, but they will have a slowdown penalty here in the sim if they attempt that. So that should be slightly different on that front at the very least. So with the qualifying now officially hitting zero, that means everybody has been set. 26 cars getting ready to take part in today's race. Jacob Reed on the pole. Togo Hisada going to be challenging next to him. Christoph Olenek will be starting from third as Topi Kortiniemi will be in fourth. Pauli Partanen, he'll start all the way down in P5. A bit of a strange one for Pauli. Timothy Reed starts in sixth with Nick Tisson in the seventh spot. Gabriel Martinez will then begin in eighth. Fifth row sees Mick Claridge flanked by Henry Morse to round out the top 10.
Well, we get to the second page, and going up Friesche, we did say, down in 11th. Alongside Alexius Tapia Vico in 12th. Aaron Blair will be that unlucky 13th with AJ Roper in 14th. Then Henry Lieberman will be 15th. And our F2 leader, Josephine Becker, she sits in 16th with Dylan Freckleton 17th. Donacio Martinez will be in 18th with Pablo Rodriguez Hogala 19th. Matthew Cockerham runs out the top 20.
Kevin Parrish will then start in 21st with Josh Brain in 22nd. Kirk Clapper starts 23rd, flanked by Art Karts. And the final row sees Beatrice Lank and Gord Janot with the 26 car field. Traditional full F1 field, I guess you could say here, starting today's race. The thing that's going to be wild here, Craig, is that it's also going to be cold tires and cold brakes coming down to that first corner. I think it's going to be interesting under braking at turn one.
Yeah, this is the problem. These tires do need heating up, and I think we're going to be heating up very shortly. It's going to be interesting, that run down to the first line. We know Pauli's going to wait for us, and when we see Pauli, that number one car, we wait for the number one. I wonder what he can do down in P5. That's going to be an interesting run for him if he gets a good start. We know what his starts are like, Joe.
Yes, and the slipstream will probably help him gain a few spots, but we'll have to wait and see as it looks like they're ready to go. The engines are revving. The lights are up for round 9. And it's a long hold. Green flag is finally out as they accelerate off. My goodness, is that is in fact Jacob Reed? No, Topi Kortiniemi, who launches forward, jumps from fourth all the way to first. By the time they even get to the braking, they're long before it, and he is miles ahead as they're 3 wide behind him, fighting for second place. More cars try to scramble toward position into this first set of S's. So far, so good. Drivers able to keep out of one another, but Topi Kortiniemi with a blinder start.
You said we didn't want to see anything like the real-world F1 race, and we saw 3 wide going into turn 1, and somehow Partanen through the middle takes it, and it's not been a good start here for Jacob Reed. Almost losing another position to a leisure jack here, but having to just run off the sausage curves there for Christoph there, so having to go back McClarridge going down the order as well, and Vico is having a bit of a moment. Gabriel Martinez now also battling with Nick Fisson, trying to go around the outside of that snake. Holds it real good there for Gabriel Martinez. Big mover at the moment. It's the top two. Cortinemi, Partonen up 3. Dylan Freckleton up 5.
Yeah, Vico actually found himself clipping a tire, so he was popped up into the air. That's why he was off track and had to cut the course. He's now having to serve a massive slowdown penalty. Meanwhile, as we watch them complete lap 1, sounds like we got a replay of what happened to Alexis. Trying to make out who this is that he made contact with.
Well, there we go. There's the contact. There's the wheel. Just a little bit of wheel rubbing there, and that's unfortunate. And this is a track where I don't think you want to be losing time here, and had to run the grass and take a slowdown because this is Nick Fisson, Gabriel Martinez in front of him, and Jack and Reed having a little bit of a scrap, and Christoph going a little bit wide, and Reed get that position, and that's what he needs. That's Timothy Reed, not Jacob Reed, as these two go on. The leaders aren't really going for many positions at the moment. Look to see Gabriel Martinez late braking, and he does indeed, because they want to catch up to this battle, because you've got the top 4 working together. The next 4, I feel they have to work together right now. This is Vico trying to get back up to the field as well. He needs the help here, a little bit of slingshot. He's already 5 seconds behind the group that we were just looking at.
That's Donaciano just in front of him, going defensive at first down into the S's, but then cuts back across the race line. Very single file through here. It's a lot less swift than it was in its previous incarnations. They've tightened up these S's now in the modern version of this track, but this car seems to like it pretty well, as it does enjoy those fast, swift corners. But we switch back up to AJ Roper. This is through the Peraltada. Now, 180-degree corner, not banked like when these cars were around, but still that launch so important. Oh, look at Aaron Blair. Got a little fight between he and Dylan Freckleton, our leader in the team's championship, but he is going to be able to pull away, interestingly. He must be super trimmed out.
And that's something we've not talked about, is just the idea of some of these drivers may want to take a little bit of wing off because of the fact you're looking at these straights and you look at the times that the front guys are doing. Partonen with a 22.6. I do wonder, maybe when we look later, maybe some of the drivers you look at who will be going a little bit lighter with the wing. Toga Hisada maybe, Cortinemi maybe as well, but Gabriel Martinez, not a driver I would look at probably trimming out that wing. Probably going to be using all the downforce as well, and we saw that with the oval there. I know you say it's not got the banking like it used to. There's still a little bit of a bank. I'd almost say it's like a New Hampshire kind of banking there, Joe. It's there, you just can't see it.
That's a good way of putting it. Looking back from Olenek, unfortunately lost some spots since the starts of that good qualifying, going a little bit to waste here. He's trying to keep Martinez behind, and watch out for Nick Tisson, who was in that red car that you've been kind of seeing. And you can see why they can't race this anymore in modern F1 cars. There is no runoff. It is like an actual oval with just the wall to the outside. Meanwhile, Toga Hisada sets the fastest lap of the race, as I'm sure he is interested in trying to catch up to the two Finns.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I found interesting when you're looking there with Nick Fisson, Gabriel Martinez, and Jack. Did you see how they were unable to really work the tight line into the oval to get a good run? As hello, Hugler, just on your left, you're going to see right now, just went around the outside of turn 1 to take the position, and nowhere for Blair to go. Real good move there from Hugler to go up a 5th spot today. Josephine Becker also now getting part of that mistake from Blair. It's interesting, the dirty air, because here on the straight, well, it's working, and I don't think you're going to get that, Josephine, and even Blair overshoots him around. Martinez makes a move, and they're just going to rub tires a little bit. That's a bit unfortunate. Martinez going to lose out, but Lieberman going to slide, and hello, that's a Tokyo drift slide. I've ever seen it through the fork. That's a nice slide from Lieberman to make that position, using the clean air, because the dirty air in a moment is really going to hit the drivers.
Yeah, so that was back and forth there for Josephine Becker for a bit. Didn't quite wind up getting the position she was hoping for. Hisada versus Partonen with Jacob Reed in tow. They're about half a second behind Cortinemi, and there is the Dragon as they weave back and forth, trying to break that slipstream. Togo is in that draft, but he's not gaining as much as I would have expected. So it looks like our predictions of this being a draft race, maybe not as significant as we would have thought. In the meantime, they do also, they caught up to Topi Cortinimi, so that was a good run as we check back in with Henry Morse now against Dylan Freckleton. He's got him on the over-under, and the undercut isn't quite working, though. Freckleton with a good launch.
I can report Lieberman just had a moment out there, and that's unfortunate, having some good time. Wonder if he had a little bit of moment. And Henry Morse trying to make a late break around the outside to the S's. The late S's makes it work. Absolute brilliant move there. That's the type of move, Joe, I was thinking about it when we were looking at Hissada. That's the type of move Hissada is going to look at, because he is the king of the late breakers. And if Morse can do it, well, we'll look later in the race with Hissada, because these guys, here's the leaders. They're not looking to make moves. I know we were talking about the draft train. They shouldn't really be looking for moves out here today because of the fact that they want to wait. However, Hissada, even with the wide line, has he found a secret line here, because the Serpentine's on?
He's got the pull. Hartsonen also trying to catch back up to Cortinemi. That might be helping Pauli. But that's a lift. That was a big lift there from Togo coming up towards the braking. So maybe not interested in trying to make the move. And this kind of makes me wonder. So Togo was racing with the Lotus 49s yesterday, and they were at Road America. Togo played extremely patient, came away with the win on his birthday, I might say. And that was because he let everybody else in front of him fight while he hung back.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be saying happy birthday to him, because it's now Monday morning for the drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see what for Togo, of course. It's going to be interesting. Gabriel Martinez, that's a very ambitious move. The door a little bit open there on a leisure jack, and holding up Nick Fisson as well. And that's a little bit of that's the desperation on a draft track, it feels like. That's the type of move that you kind of want to upset the apple cart by looking for a move not on the straight, because that's where everyone's looking for moves out here today, is around that straight area. So if you can just make it up one of the unconventional moments at the fork or the lake S's, go for it. And that's what he's trying. And we did see it. Togo went around the outside here, used a little bit of that phantom banking. It's working if you've got the downforce. And look at Alesia Jack. He was struggling, because here's the leaders. That's exactly what Hissada just did. But I don't think he's lifting again, Joe. They're just waiting for the opportunity. And Partonen is getting a tow from his Finnish compatriot there in Cortinemi.
Very close to one another here between Martinez and Christoph. Martinez is going to come out ahead between the two. Thyssen and Frisha, two veterans of this series, also fighting for 8th position. Nice run back there from the 14 car as Martinez goes defensive, but we've seen it is possible to pass around the outside, but you got to be brave. You got to find some grip. He finds the inside into the corner, but he can't quite get it done. Great defense from Gabri.
And that's the same thing with Alesicak as well, hitting the curb earlier in the race. That's cost him again. Let's have a look at a quick replay, because these guys coming to the S's, not a lot's going to happen. This is what happened to Matthew Cocker, and we're on the helmet cam almost, and this is Lieberman in front. Just he's sliding too much, and that's costing. Oh, whoa! Matthew had no chance to get on the brakes there. We saw it, Joe, when he had that drift around the fork. Has the speed, but just not having the grip today. Not a lot of downforce. Togo goes wider again, but look at Jacob. He's taking the conventional line, and this is the serpentine you don't see unless you're Indianapolis. Jacob's going to make this move. He's not waiting for the lifting game.
Yep, he's got his wheel just alongside the back wheel. We ride on board, watching them coming down into the braking of turn 1. But I think he knows what's up here. Maybe setting himself up for the exit. Does get the launch once again. And it seems Togo is going to try to defend that inside line. Now, we've seen mixed results on what happens down into this corner, but that was a lift. Jacob Reed realizes it's not quite on yet. Meanwhile, in front of them, look how close Partonen is getting to Cortiniemi. He is breathing the exhaust fumes at this stage and putting the pressure on.
Now, I know that Partonen does drive with some drivers. I think he's got Cortiniemi in a voice chat with him. Wouldn't be surprised if they're just throwing and spitting out some finish out there today. And I'd love to speak Finnish, actually. It's a really interesting language. I'm sure they're probably talking about their ideas right now because they probably see what's happening behind. And you've got a battle now for P1 and P2. And you've got to say that unless these two come together, and Jacob's going to take the inside because he knows Togo wants the outside. And Jacob's just going to take it. Togo's just going to have to go for this. If this was the last lap, that would work. Right now, it doesn't, because that switchback does work for Togo, and I wonder if Pauli giving a toe to Jacob or giving a toe to Togo.
Here's the thing, though. Togo was not in front at the line. Remember, the finish is early on this one. Is that first checkered line that you see on the main straight. He was not ahead of Jacob by that point. So if you do that cutback, you're going to need a really good run. Meanwhile, Christoph working on Thyssen, who somehow moved himself to the front of this quartet. And instead, it is Gernot Frische in behind the number 14. Thyssen actually starting to run away a little bit, trying to separate himself from this group.
Yeah, you see Gabriel Martinez is gone, like really started to pull ahead. And I wonder if Christoph is maybe overheating the tires here. We know that he's been touching the curves of it, and there we go. He's outbraked himself a little bit there, running wide through the fork. It does feel like those tires are playing havoc. And 24 Celsius track temp, 76 Fahrenheit, that's there on the track temp. Not a lot of wind out here today. It's a lot, but this is pretty wide. What on earth just happened here?
Well, Hisada must have got a good run, because he's suddenly decided to overtake Partanen and sets his sights on Topi Kortiniemi. Now that they come onto the main straight, we ride on board with the Japanese driver looking back at Jacob Reed. Partanen going a little bit wide coming off of Peraltada. What's the gap going to look like at the end of the straight between Togo and Topi? About 0.8 of a second. So this is what set Pauli on the back foot. Just maybe a bit of a mistake down in through the S's as they remain in order through the opening S's.
Yeah, I think it was the final part of the S's, just where it just out of the S's, you've got that final left-hander before the kink. I think he was already just losing the car a little bit, losing the downforce, and just a little bit of a slide. Here it is, a proper looking, yeah, too much speed there into the final. Really knew the pressure was on because Jacob was kind of pushing on Togo there. And now you've got, once again, and I hate to say this, we weren't here last week as we see more issues with Mick Claridge going ahead. It was another moment for him through the fork, going a bit too wide, getting caught up from a letter check. Last week at Jerez, we didn't see it. I saw it. Hisada, Reed, Partanen, all battling for second with Gernot Frische. Kortiniemi just pushed ahead at Jerez. Kind of a similar track to this, Joe, with a lot of fast speed sections. Are we going to see a repeat of what happened last week? You don't want to know what happened at the end of last week, though.
I understand it did not go well, but this time, 0.2 farther away from Topi Kortiniemi for Togo Hisada. It is not looking good. The Finn may have broken that slipstream. If they learned how to work together before, they're going to have to re-emerge with that trick here, trying to chase down that number 3 car. And they don't fight coming into turn 1 this time. So maybe they are trying to just coordinate a little bit here. A little slide from Hisada coming off of turn 3 as we check in with Morse versus Claridge. Henry going to be able to overtake the yellow and black machine.
It's nice to see the master of the Lotus 49s dip his toes in the 79s. And I feel like the 49s have been here this season or might be coming here. You'll have to correct me because not usually here. We got Josh Brain as well. Picture in picture here. He's having his own little battle. And well, it was a little battle until I just had a moment there. I think that was with Arts Karts as well. Just having that moment at the back. But these are the guys. Really good to see Mick Claridge and Aaron Blair now having a little bit of thing with J, because it's AJ Roper I was just looking at there. But here's Aaron Blair trying to recover. Not been at the best of races, but really, you see a lot of drivers falling down the order today, Joe, not going up the order. Very interesting to see some drivers just not coping there. And did just see Togo on the radio, didn't hear what he said. I think he had a slow run. He's going to allow Jacob to get by him. And Joe, the buddy system never fails. It's a great system. That's what they need right now. It's
at 9/10, so they've gained about a 10th since a couple laps ago, but that's not really going to be enough. They need to get a little bit closer here and try to latch on to the draft of that number 3 car. Checking back in with Roper, Hoglar, Freckleton. Freckleton on the outside of 3 wide. This is not going to go well. He gets spun around. All 3 of them make contact, but Hoglar comes out ahead. It is going to be Josephine Becker who picks up a spot off of Aaron Blair in all of that mess, while Dylan Freckleton gets it going once again. It's not over for Becker. The leader in the F2 standings covers off the inside. Blair can't manage to get side by side this time.
And this is important for Josephine, because if you don't know how the points are done, because we have multiple splits, they're not done by who wins the race. It's who has the fastest average lap time. So who is the fastest to finish the race? Which means that if you're in the second split and you're faster than you finish ahead of the guy that comes 6th, you get 6th place in the point. So for Josephine, as there's more sliding from Aaron Blair, if Josephine gets ahead, then you need really good times, and that's what she needs right now, is a good result in the top split to try and limit, well, any real damage if she was close to the rest of the field. You get the idea. Toga Hizada needs some help here, because that was the fastest lap from Jacob Reed, a 1:22.007. They're starting to catch up to Courtenay.
Yeah, you talked about the drifting. I think the low downforce has given us some Tijuana drift instead this time. A lot of drivers just all over the place. Blair, unfortunately, looks like he has gotten too many incident points. I said those off tracks were going to be an issue, and he is down pit lane to serve that penalty. Toga Hizada has lost second place with that bad run a couple laps ago. Jacob Reed, though, has made good use of him being at the head of that group. He has got it down to 0.6 of a second now.
Yeah, and this is not a track. I'm trying to look, and I'll have to dive into like the modern iRacing GP Tour, because I think that might be his only experience here, because unless they really have done other things, there's not a lot of experience by these drivers except for this week and what Jacob may have done. Kevin Parrish, as we look down to the rest of the field, trying to battle Kurt Clapper and Matthew Cockerham. I saw everybody qualifying and thought, hang on, did Jason Clapper qualify? No, it was actually Kurt. Jason's not here today, really struggling, but he's +5 is Kurt. Matthew's +3. Kevin Parrish, he's +2. Trying to make more waves, but you can just see, just trying to get that speed, and it's the differences as well. They're 2 seconds or 1.5 seconds slower than the leaders. It's the confidence, and it's also knowing where the grip is, because look around, more drivers taking different lines, and that affects Kevin Parrish.
Yeah, oval racing is very much its own thing, and drivers are discovering the high line isn't always the worst thing in the world. Nice move by Kurt Clapper. Jason, for what it's worth, actually does qualify from time to time. We have seen it. It's getting to be a little bit more common. This time, though, Kurt Clapper versus Matthew Cockerham. Down the inside into turn 1 is going to see Matthew outbreak him initially, but he's not done with the job yet. He finds the car at the apex. All 3 of them once again clatter into one another in a clumsy move at the second apex.
Yeah, Kurt had to take a tow from that. Matthew's going to try and get around, just waits for the traffic. And, well, there's your F1 2025 moment there, Joe, as they all just came together. And I did think Kevin would get by, and he has served the slowdown. Jacob Reed is closing the gap. He's closed it so much. I would not be sorry. It's an apology from Kurt Clapper, by the way. Was that fastest lap for Jacob? No. 22.147. It is a 10th faster than Topi Courtenay. And this is interesting. I don't think Togo's got the slipstream anymore. Jacob has broken that toe.
I wonder if Togo just doesn't have the straight line speed in comparison, because remember, he had a hard time catching up to Topi. Now that Jacob got by, he's starting to drop him. And then Parton looks like he's having the same trouble too. Is up on the right-hand side. He's got that battle for 8th spot with Henry Morse. 9th spot, rather. Henry Morse leading Christoph and Mick Claridge in that little trio. So we'll keep an eye on that. The battle for the lead is suddenly on, and Jacob Reed has got a very realistic shot, although there's a lot of laps left to go.
Now, you talk about the setups, and I don't know what Jacob uses. Topi probably uses something Pauli uses. Togo likes to have it loose. So that to me says a little bit less wing. But if he's struggling to catch up with Jacob, is it the wing? I think maybe it's not a case of Togo a different setup. I think Togo's taken too much wing off. It'd be interesting to see their speeds when they come down here, because really, if theory, Togo would have more speed than Topi coming out this line. Another good run, though, from Jacob. I feel he is on track here with, 11 to go. It's too far away to make a run here. In kilometers, it's 2:7.5, 6:7.8 before the braking, and Togo doesn't have the run here. Yeah, I feel Togo is actually not running less wing today.
But there was an attack down into turn 1 by Jacob Reed. Topi actually had to go defensive. I think that's the first time in many laps he's had to take an alternate line down into turn 1. So Jacob Reed is now on the attack. Is the Finn able to rebuff him for 11 laps here at the finish, especially when it looks like that too is extremely fast.
Yeah, very fast as he comes around. I'll tell you something, Michael the Turk just having a look for us as well. Always good to have some extra eyes looking. Pauli's tires look hot, and I'm starting to wonder if Togo likes a looser set and he's sliding a bit too much. Maybe he's got the same thing because look, cooled the tires down a little bit, right getting closer now. There's Pauli Pardon, and you just start to see he sees nobody, really starting to lose it here. And I do wonder if that's the issue here. Is Togo just having a little bit of a moment? And Jacob,
whoa!
Wow, he kisses the wolves. He spotted what Togo's doing. Everyone's started to do it now. Everybody follow the high line.
I mean, that was a bit of a dirt track move. It's like he was on the cushion there, just almost brushing the wall. I thought for sure he was going to lose time with that, but somehow Jacob Reed is found a little bit of a trick. Like you said, all of them seeming to use it well. Togo Hisada did catch up this time, coming out of the S's though. Jacob Reed looking closer than ever. The Topi Cortinemi as they come up towards the lake. As they come to the braking, he's going to be deep on it. He's going to manage to get side by side, and he's going to be through. Jacob Reed's your new leader.
Was not expecting that, but with the pedigree of Jacob Reed, you have to. But the door was open a little bit. He has to respect that Topi just had a moment, then had to go in. Togo, we're watching on board with Togo in the picture because he's right behind. He saw them catch up here because they were battling. A really good move by Jacob. And once again, that's the sort of move that if Togo was battling right side by side on the last lap, that's a Togo Hisada move. But now, I'm starting to hear a pop here, Joe. Is that the cork coming out of the champagne bottle? Because all of a sudden, Topi, he can't catch up here to Jacob Reed.
And yeah, we have to remember that Jacob Reed was our pole sitter. So clearly a fast car. It was just the incredible start that Topi had that allowed him to get into this. I also start to wonder, is this Topi's car just not looking as good towards the end of the race? Because now Togo is starting to catch him. Challenge around the outside. Deeper on the brakes. There's that move you said he likes to do. Just has to get his elbows out a little bit here through the S's. And he is going to be up into P2. A slide off the corner does compromise him out of turn 3. Cortinemi cannot pick up on it, though, as he's just a little bit too far back. What's surprising me is we were saying, about 77 Fahrenheit on the track, something like that. That's not very hot. I would have expected to see cars fall off at the end if we had high temperatures here in Mexico. So I'm a bit confused.
It might just be just a difference in driving style, just a little bit harder on the brakes, trying to really just hold in. And Lesser Jack's gone around. Not good here for Christoph. I did not see what happened there. It's not been the day for him. He had a really good start, and that's coming down into the Lake S's. And yeah, he actually just tried to turn in, and he actually had to get onto the brakes, and Mick Claridge just caught him in the back. We'll look at the replay right now, looking for the move ahead there of Henry Morse, and he wasn't just backed off a little bit, and yeah, Mick probably not realizing a little bit of a check up there from Christoph, and yeah, a little bit of a problem there. That's a mistake from Mick. It's not a rookie mistake. Here's not a rookie mistake. Gabri Martinez is right on the back here of Nick Fisson. Will look to try and make this real good move. He's going to get this done. And this is a man that, again, not the best of starts, but Gabri at the end of the lap here, really starting to find some pace. I reckon some drivers have probably got the wrong setup up there today.
Frisha showing his nose initially, maybe worried that they were going to come together and was just giving himself some clear track. But look at him coming off of turn 3. Whoa, things get tight as that was Nick just trying to make a move, maybe not aware that Gernot was going to have a good run there. That forces Frisha to have to back off as still Martinez and Peterson continue this battle down into the fork. And way wide there from Gabriel Martinez might force him to have to give it up. A little bit too tight for Gernot Frisha again, finding it hard to try and find room as the cars ahead of him weave back and forth.
Gabriel loves downforce cars. He's still trying to get his learning shoes and get his badge for driving the 79s. We know him in the Nissan Deep GTPs in IMSA Vintage, but this is kind of a similar car. Downforce effect is going by. Look who's got the fastest lap. Togo Hisada has got the fastest lap, so that's one to watch out later on. I'm just seeing Gernot's not had the best of run here through the oval banking, but then at the end of the oval banking, Gabri had to get on the lift of the throttle. This allows Gernot to really go. Gabri will defend this, Joe. I feel Gernot was practicing for this because he gets a little bit of a toe from Nick Fisson going back to the racing line.
Battling once again. Oh, they're both extremely deep into the corner. It's going to be shallow. We've seen this go bad before, but Martinez is going to pull it out initially. Morse fights back on him, gets the run, coming off of 3. The way the sequence of corners just sets this up, this is fantastic. He's trying to pinch him, though. That sometimes can go awry in sim racing. It's hard to tell where that driver is next to you sometimes, but they hold it out. They give each other just enough space, and Morse is going to have the spot as he gets the elbows out. Martinez has to back off.
Yeah, Gernot Frisha actually instead of Gabriel Martinez, and that's the veteran. That's the veteran just schooling. Well, he's not really a rookie, but he's a rookie enough, you've got to say, when you compare him to how many race starts Gernot Frisha's had in this car. And they did just run the wheels a little bit. I think Gabri getting a bit too hot on the brakes. I wonder if that's caused damage for Gernot, if he's had a moment here down the S's, because he's a little bit slower, almost like what happened to Pauli Partanen. But he has the inside here for the banking, and around the outside, Gernot is better to the inside, braking early to get a good run down. Gabri, and I actually do wonder here, Joe, yeah, this looks like damage for Gernot because he did not get a good run here. I wonder if that little run over the tires helped, but no, the speed is now here. Gabri has to defend, and this feels like a clear-cut repeat of what we saw last time. But they lock tires this time, and Gabri goes around and collects Gernot.
And behind them, Henry Morse is going to laugh his way up to 7th position. Thankfully, it looks like both cars able to carry on, but we don't know what sort of damage, barring the missing right front wing there from Gernot Frisha. And behind them, Mick Claridge and AJ Roper are starting to encroach upon him as well. That's going to be difficult down the main straight with that wing damage. Mick goes defensive. AJ unable to make the pass.
Able to make the pass, and that's kind of just what AJ has to accept. Mick getting the run there, and not a lot you can do. Gets under the defense, and Mick again, we talk about veteran presence here, where AJ Roper's also got a little bit of veteran presence, but Mick again, look at the pedigree of the driver. Look how many championships in the 49s he's had. So in the 79s, the different kettle of fish, still got that little there, but hello, that's a little bit wide from Gernot. Yeah, he's struggling right now. He doesn't have that meatball flag, but you might as well, because it looks like he's lost half a wing, and the other half is a little bit damaged. He's going to have to go sliding through Mick Claridge there and AJ Roper. Gernot has to get out of the way. That's going to be an easy overtake there for both of them, but Mick has to get to the inside. AJ's going to get to the outside here, but he's got a toe from Gabriel Martinez, who has just side panel damage there. So he will catch up to them, but Mick's got the inside once again. He backs out. He wants AJ to make the mistake. It's not going to work here. Try to go around the outside. Now the outside becomes the inside. And I'll tell you what, that's a little bit of an old school veteran move there from Mick Claridge.
He's able to hold on despite the wheel-to-wheel racing. Now, they again almost lock wheels coming down into the lake. But as they finally break, I think Mick's got this one sorted. They'll make a little bit of contact, and AJ has to lift. Now they've got Hoglar starting to join the fray out of the fork. You can see just how much Gernot Frisha is struggling as he continues to drop back and have to play a defensive role.
here because he doesn't have that downforce now with no front wing. And Gabriel Martinez has a front wing, lost a side panel. So that's why he's going up here. Here's Pablo Rodriguez Hogla. He will easily get past Gernot because Gernot doesn't really have any downforce holding the car. And he'll try and fight this into the inside, but there's nothing to hold that car. He's going to slide out pretty wide. In fact, almost hitting Josephine Becker, right behind. So, so not a lot there. Actually, no, it's not Josephine Becker. It is, I thought it was Vico, but Josephine will get this move done. We're seeing something interesting right now with some of the drivers here, Joe, and we've been talking about it just behind the microphone. It feels like the drivers have indeed gone for a setup, some of them that's very aggressive at the start and then wears out, almost like a de facto soft tire setup. There's no tires here, but these two, look at the gap. When you see the rest of the field, where's Topi? There's Topi. They've gapped them. They're taking a different setup. You see it in the midfield. You're seeing it clear in sight from the top two.
And this is rare because we know that the Finns usually have speed, but the other thing that we don't mention often is that they're also very good with setups usually. They're very smart about it. They do a lot of testing. They're open about it. They readily share it with a lot of the other drivers in the 79 series. But I'm just kind of shocked to see them miss the mark.
But again, we're into the unknown, and some of the drivers will have done some of the races earlier in the race, in the week. It's AJ Roper battling on with Gabriel Martinez, and Gabriel doesn't really have the downforce to make that. AJ is going to get that move done. Gabriel does have some top speed still, so may look for this, but he's got Hogla right behind. But again, look at some of these drivers. It feels like some of them are just struggling, and I wonder if they realize too late. And maybe we'll have to ask the drivers, I wonder if the conditions have been different this week, Joe, because it's 9 o'clock in the morning sim time. I wonder if some of the track conditions have been cooler. I know this is at 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. It's very interesting that we're talking about that right now.
Yeah, and well, hold on, we'll have to talk about Hoglar for a second, because Martinez continues to drop like a rock. He breaks as deep as he can into the S's by the lake, but looks like he is not going to be able to pull it out this time. Thought for sure Hoglar is going to be able to go by Martinez. I think that is, frankly, a bit of a matter of time, although it's 3 laps to go. So if Gabri can hold on just a little bit longer, he could maybe keep in this top 10. But nope, he's got a bad exit. You can see here through the S's. I think this is going to be an easy task coming onto the oval straight here by Hoglar. He's starting to reel him in, but he runs out of straightaway now that they reach Peraltada.
Yeah, using that high line, but again, you can see that Gabri, with that ground effect being destroyed on the right of his car, there's not a lot there, so he has the speed, but he doesn't have a lot here, and Pablo will look for the... I did see a car doing a little bit of a surface. It's actually a lap car. That's Matthew Cockerham there, so they'll just de facto 3 wide for a split second. Pablo now up to 9th as he gets past Gabri. That's the hard charger today. What a drive from the lime green car. I think you can call it lime green, probably a little bit darker than lime. Maybe they say a laser lemon almost is what they would probably say, but gets it done. Josephine as well. We got to talk about this. Great drive from Hoglar. Josephine Becker, we don't usually see her in the top split of the 79s. And really, we said it before, Joe, we just keep on saying it. This is a driver, this is a lady to just keep on watching. The German really putting her elbows out, and she's mixing with some real good names, and she's doing so well.
Meanwhile, Jacob Reed taking another fastest lap as we start the final lap of this race. And yeah, I think she's going to be able to get this one pretty soon as she gets very close to the back of Martinez, now outside of the top 10. She gets the run. She looks down to the inside, and that might be all she wrote for Martinez for that 11th spot. So to touch back on the point that I was going to make, the reason it's so shocking to me that Topi and Pauli seem to maybe not have the setup quite right is we have to remember this is an official series, and so they do have the ability to race earlier in the week, and oftentimes they will get some smaller races in for this series. So they should have had experience and time to test this out by now. Now, maybe not with all the other drivers that they have around them in this race, but just, again, highly unusual to have them maybe not kind of work out some of the kinks by this stage. Jacob Reed maybe didn't look as good early on, but he charged back forward. He lost the lead at the start. He came back up to the front, and as he exits out of the Peraltada, you can mark Jacob Reed as today's first ever winner in Mexico City for the Lotus 79s.
Yeah, hold of a possible charge from Toga Hitsada. Could not get it, though, as they do have a little bit of a side-by-side respect for one another. Topi Kortenemi comes back into third. Everything is looking quiet apart from that battle for P10. And Hoglar has got a charging German right behind him. Josephine Becker will have to try and do this around the outside of the oval with the Peralta. And I wonder if she may have this. The highline is actually working better for some of the drivers, but she breaks early to go for a hard charge. The start-finish line, it's oh so close here, but she can't hold it. Hoglar kept it tight to the line on the corner there to hold her off. Gets that P10 up 9 places, right behind Gabriel Martinez, just holds off Vico. Fantastic drive, and once again, it's not a triple podium this week for the Triple Crown, but again, Jacob Reed, and I've lost count, he's recorded yet another 2 out of 3 in that historic Triple Crown there, Joe. I'm saying with Togo, with Jacob Reed, we look at Valenteus, who sometimes drops in. One of these days, we're getting close. The Triple Crown, we may have a second name to it.
Somebody is going to be able to get all 3 of the vintage cars here at some point. Also worth noting that that 9 positions gained for Pablo, that was the hardest charger of the race. Beatrice Lank and Gorjanot did manage to get up 6 each, but they finished a little bit down the order today, 19th and 20th. So after something of a chaotic race, but nonetheless extremely entertaining, Jacob Reed comes out on top. It was Togo Hitsada. Cannot repeat his birthday victory, but he still gets a nice second place. Topi Kortenemi was third, with Pauli Parton in fourth, both of them mysteriously lacking pace at the end. Timothy Reed, he was a quiet 5th place. We didn't really touch on. He had nobody near him, and couldn't seem like anybody was able to really catch up, as Nick Thyssen did get himself a 6th place, Henry Moore 7th, and Mick Claridge climbing up to 8th. Good to see him have a good day here in the Lotus 79s. AJ Roper was 9th, and Pablo Hoglar gets a top 10.
We get to the second page, and I think we almost just have to say Josephine Becker has got one hand on the F2 Championship, getting in an 11th today, up 5. Gabriel Martinez falls into 12th position with Alexa Tapia-Vico in 13th. Christopher Ledgerjack, not a race to remember, down 11 places to 14th. Going up Freeshaw, also not a race to remember, just struggling with the new track in 15th. Dylan Freckleton will be 16th. Henry Lieberman did get back out there and did manage to keep going in 17th. Kevin Parrish, 18th, with Beatrice Lank in 19th. Gord Chanel runs out that top 20.
21st was Art Karts with Josh Brain in 22nd. From there, you get into cars that had trouble today. Donanciano Martinez was into the pits at one point, finished 23rd with Cockram. I think the last to see the checkered flag in 24th. Clapper and Blair were our 2 DNFs today, unable to get to the end. But considering how many contacts we saw, kind of impressive that the drivers managed to all get home as many as they did. We do have second place finisher Togo Hitsada ready to talk to us. Let's see if we can find out his info on his setup, because Togo, initially it started to look like you were struggling to keep up with Topi Kortenemi up at the front. Then suddenly you and Jacob looked like you had immense speed. Were the cars set up to be better late in the race?
Not sure about Jacob, but myself, yeah, I'm struggling a bit with that area. It's massive understeer, so I adjust the anti-roller bar between the middle of the race and some changes. It solved the problem. So later half of the race, a little bit too oversteer, but pace itself is not bad. And I can keep up with Jacob.
Craig brought up an interesting point during the race that the triple crown of winning the Lotus 49, the Lotus 79, and the IMSA Vintage race in the same weekend is an extremely rare feat. We think only one driver has managed it. You've been very fast in all three. Do you think you could manage that one of these days?
And maybe not. 49s and 79s. Yeah, I got the pace sometimes, but the Nissan GTP is actually I'm not good at the car. Yeah, so maybe some luck helps me because the Camry GT is like sometimes it will be very chaotic race. So that maybe luck, but the pace itself is not enough to take a P1 every time. So. But I wish I'm gonna try someday future.
Well, we'll watch out for it. You seem like a good candidate to join Jamie Fluke on that list, but congratulations on second.
Thank you very much.
That was Togo Hisata finishing in P2. And I believe Craig has caught up with Topi Kortinemi, who finished third today.
Yeah, Topi Kortinemi here as well, who had, I think we got to talk about it first before we go to setups. Topi, that was the godlike start. Was that guessing the green flag, or was it just the best launch with the clutch?
I think it was mostly that I was using a very short first gear. It was optimized for starts. But I knew by doing that, I was giving a lot of power away across the circuit because we have reduced engine power here with the altitude, and I had to go very wide with the 4 gears for the corners. And I think Togo and Jacob and Pauli was using 5 gears, but then had a long first, which killed their start.
So
yeah, I think that was it.
I was going to say that was basically going to answer most of my next question, because we were talking about it here in the booth, because it felt like you and especially Pauli were struggling at the end of the race due to just almost like the tires heating up. So was that also the idea of the fact that because you had that shorter first gear, you were just spinning the tires a bit more and using more heat, because there was nothing for you and Pauli at the end of the race?
Yeah, I think they were just running. I don't know if it was the getting slippier. It usually heats up sessions. But, yeah, they were just. I think I was counting on getting a good start and then holding a good defense for the rest of the race. That didn't play out too well today.
Now, this is the first time we've been to the track and we've used the historic layout. Your thoughts on this track, because this looked like a fantastic track for the 79, including this layout. It really delivered today.
Oh yeah, it's a great track. I mean, some of the guys say they don't like the track, but I think it's got a great rhythm. You got the sweeper in the end. The SS especially is great series of corners. It's such a good feeling, the right, a good exit. Underrated track.
Yeah, it has actually been a fantastic race. And it was also great to see you once again, after last week's victory, back on the podium. Topi, thank you for coming in. We'll hopefully look forward to seeing you next time, because when you're on your day, you're a driver to be a formidable force. Topi Kortinemi there, Joe, P3 for the day. And I believe you will also have with you behind him with Pauli Partanen, who would be interesting to see what his setup was like.
Yeah, we're all fascinated by this because, Pauli, we just talked to Topi, and how did you go about setting up the car? I mentioned that we don't typically see the Finns struggle with setup, but it looked like the car just didn't have what it needed in the last maybe 10 laps.
I think I had a bit of problem with understeer, a bit too much understeer if compared to Togo, because in last corner Togo was having so much more pace than me, or maybe he had a better line, I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe it was setup, maybe it was driving, don't really know, but I think my front tires were just heating up too much, and I was trying to push at the start of the race to catch Topi, and I made a mistake. But in the end, I don't think it didn't really make any difference because I didn't really have the pace to win this race anyway.
Yeah, it did look like quite a fight by the end just to keep up with them. What was the slipstream like? I expected it to be a bit more powerful. Do you think it's just the thin air that keeps it from being more of a slam dunk down to turn one?
Yeah, actually, I was surprised about it because it was not that effective as I was planning it to be. But yeah, maybe it's a thin air. I think so too. Maybe it makes bit of difference with the usual wind or air we have in iRacing. So maybe it was that. But yeah, it was first time I was a draft of somebody, so it was a learning curve for me too. And yeah, need a bit better exit on the last corner if you wanted to overtake.
Well, you'll get a second try at a draft track because we're going to Aragon, and it's the outer layout, which has that massively long back straight. Do you think you can strike back and maybe come back with a win there?
Well, I haven't ever raced there, so I don't really know. I don't really know about it, so I'm not really planned it yet. Do I race it even, or do I take it just a week off because I'm having so much Lotus 39 lately? So I think off week will be very, very good, and just try to focus on the last 2 weeks. But we will see. We will see.
All right. Well, best of luck, and again, great effort today.
Thank you.
Pauli Partanen here, but it's not going to wrap up with the Finn. I think we have one more. Craig's caught up with Mick Claridge.
Oh, it's been a while since I've seen Mick Claridge. It's also rare. Mick, Lotus 79s? What are you doing here, my guy? Talk me through this.
Oh, it was crazy. I was like chasing people and following them, and then all of a sudden I just didn't have any grip on the front of the car. What's all this aero wash stuff? I don't know what's going on, Craig. Tell me, please. Help me, mate. Help me.
Well, we don't know our stuff, but no, it's very nice to see you dip into the quote unquote modern day cars. But realistically, just with the short time we got you, your thoughts on this track as well. This is a new one to everybody, and this is delivered, and a lot of the drivers have loved it. We may be seeing this in the 49s. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's actually on the schedule already. But yeah. With that last corner, brilliant, absolutely brilliant track. One of the best.
Well, we're going to have to see this on the schedule, Mick. It's definitely there because it's just fantastic. But I know it's only a short time because we are a little bit hit for time. We're squashed in. I'm sure you've got a few shout-outs as well, especially for the drivers that don't usually drive this in your preferred series.
Yeah, all the drivers that were there today. It was great racing with them. Great racing with Gernot for a couple of laps at the start there. I always love doing that. And I just want to thank Toppy because he's helped me get up to speed in the car, albeit not quite as fast as him. But there you go. And just thank thank Toppy and the Mackenzie boys. Don't mess with the Mackenzie boys, guys. Say it in your sleep.
Every time Mick Claridge is here, it's the Mackenzie boys. But Mick, it's great having you here on a Sunday, the rare Sunday stream, the rare Sunday broadcast. Thanks for coming in. Look forward to seeing you back on a Saturday, usually in the 49s.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, guys. See ya.
That rounds out the interviews, I believe. Joe, a fantastic day. There's the stadium. Didn't get to see it today. And quite frankly, didn't want to see it. We had some fantastic racing.
Yeah, I think for this car, I'd much rather keep the Peraltada in there. It gave us some fascinating battles on the main straight, and we saw some crazy lines as we're done with this week. So let's look at next week. I mentioned Aragon, and there you go. That's the layout that they're going to be running. No chicane, and they don't have that sharp hairpin at the end. It makes for some wild draft battles coming out of Sacacorchos all the way to the final turn. So, we said we're going into the unknown. We wondered what this race would be like. I want to see this back on the schedule, if I'm honest, Craig.
I want to see it back on the schedule. It has delivered. The drivers love it. You heard it. They all loved it. Even drivers that don't normally drive this car came out. And we're also going to get that kind of similar aspect next week because this week was into the unknown. Next week's into the definite unknown. It's a layout nobody uses. The reason it's here is because it actually was a test bed for Le Mans prototypes. So imagine that. One of the longest straights, well, one of those places that you're full throttle in Europe, in these cars, with that final corner, Joe, that's going to be fireworks, and it's going to be a track everybody enjoys the moment they get past that opening section.
Yeah, no, it's going to pull drivers along big time. I've gotten to call races on that layout, not in the 79s, but in multiple other cars, and it puts on a show. But we have to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, if you want to watch more on GSRC, we've got the majors happening right now, so you can switch on over to that after we wrap up. In the meantime, a big thank you to our team, Craig, Christian, and Dougie. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.